the Layman's Guide to the English Constitution, says in England we have a very good and ancient constitution built by the trials and tribulations of our forefathers, who experienced on a number of occasions despotic rule, which their desire to live as free men gave them the strength to overcome. On each occasion they set in place protections to prevent despotic rule. Today we have despotic rule by the House of Commons, who claim authority even over Her Majesty the Queen. They have withdrawn their homage to Her Majesty, and under the common law of England are no parliament but foul and base traitors. We must, like our forefathers, find the strength to overcome this evil, and make no mistake, it is evil. They are destroying a legal system and constitution built around the teachings of the Holy Bible. In the House of Commons, according to the Secretary of Andrew Dismore MP, Dr. Egan, there has been an interesting discussion on whether by passing a law, Parliament can do away with the rule of law. Why would anyone in their right mind even contemplate such a thing, let alone discuss it? What are we left with if they remove the rule of law? We are left with satanic law. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. So, if your 12-year-old child is raped, it is not a crime. When your old mother is burgled and beaten to a pulp, it is not crime. When a bank is robbed and a cashier shot to death, it is not a crime. Make no mistake, this is what our politicians have in mind for us, if only so that they can continue to rob us blind with their expenses. Our forefathers protected our freedoms, and in doing so developed the best constitution known to man. The principal strength of our English constitution is trial by a jury by our equals. During the trial of Hackway, the jury could not reach a unanimous verdict, being 9-3 in favour of a conviction. Justice Cadwin removed the 3 jurors and replaced them with 3 who would bring in a guilty verdict. Cadwin hanged Hackway, so King Alfred hanged Cadwine. Oh, we're talking about King Alfred, that's good, because we're on Barrow Month here, which is associated with King Alfred, as he was in Athelney when he was fighting the Danes. We're on the hill here. So anyway, that must have been a long time ago. So King Alfred hanged the justice who replaced the jurors to bring in a guilty verdict. Justice Freeburn hanged a man named Tarpin before the jury brought in their verdict. King Alfred hanged Freeburn. King Alfred believed very strongly in the independence of the jury. Changed colour, the writing, so I'm thinking what part of the chapter is this, but we can just carry on. Sir Winston Churchill said, that great Englishman said in I know lots of people in our group don't agree with that. Anyway, said in 1938 that this country breeds a type of man who are highly intelligent and well educated, who think that they know best and can't help themselves. They always betray the country. Such a man was Edward Heath, one time Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Just what did Heath do to betray us all? He asked for advice from Lord Kilmuir, the Lord Chancellor, on the effects of our joining the EEC, who told him it would mean surrendering powers to govern to a foreign power to govern, and that this had never been done. Of course, it is not. Oh, it's never been done. So yeah, of course that's never been done before, because to do that is an act of high treason. He went on to say that it would mean placing our courts under the dominion of foreign courts, and this had never been done. What's the ECHR about then? Anyway, of course it had not been done, because it is the ancient crime of prémunire. I never know if I'm saying that right. Norman Redaway, who worked in the Information Research Research Department of the Foreign Office. Redaway set up breakfast meetings in the Connaught Hotel in London, which were attended by government ministers, MPs and the British Council for the European Movement, prominent people from all the national newspapers, ITV, BBC and others. At these meetings, the media people were asked to remove all their frontline anti-EEC reporters and replace them with pro-EEC reporters. Not content with totally slanting the press in favour of the EEC, the Foreign Office set up a department within a department of 5 people whose job it was to write thousands of letters in favour of our joining the EEC. These letter writers work in a back room at Chatham House. They did not have the ability to distribute the letters, so they sent them to the central offices of all 3 major parties, the Conservative, Labour and Liberal parties, and the British Council for the European Movement, who got them signed as though they came from people like you or I. Each of these letters was posted to the letters columns of the newspapers, who dutifully published them, each letter saying what a wonderful idea this EEC is and we must join as soon as possible. The Foreign Office also wrote speeches for pro-EEC members of Parliament and government ministers and answered thousands of genuine letters from the public expressing concern about a perceived loss of sovereignty. All this means just one thing: Edward Heath is the biggest traitor we have ever had since King John. William Rufus was killed to save England from despotic rule. Edward II was killed to remove bad government from England. Charles I was tried and executed because he ruled outside the law. James II was removed because he was ruling outside the law. Other traitors like Casement and William Joyce and Lord Haw, Bailey, Stewart made war upon His Majesty's subjects within the realm, or gave aid and comfort to His Majesty's enemies. Not one was in the position Heath was in, of being able to portray this kingdom, but Heath could not work alone. A good many people could have stopped him. Douglas Hurd was his private secretary. Everything which went over Heath's desk was seen by Hurd. Did Hurd walk into a police station and say, "You boys will be interested in what my boss is doing"? No, he did not. He did his best, his level best, to assist Heath, as did Redaway, Tucker and a whole raft of others who did not inform the police. After reading the papers released under the 30-year rule, you'll be able to recognise for yourself the crimes of government. And that's the FCO 301048 document. That is always referred to in our notices, and it is a really long document, and you can read that, and it is in the files of our group, and it's probably been uploaded into Patreon as well. So that we've concluded that reading.